Alright, so I just want to talk about this Venom movie real quick. I can't help but laugh because, the idea of this movie keeps resurfacing every couple of years. It was initially conceived after Spider-Man 3, and then they shelved it for a while, and then, they brought it back out, the idea of it, during the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and then they shelved it again, and now, it's showing up again. It's resurfacing. And I find the timing a little strange because Marvel and Sony are in the on the cusp of introducing this brand new Spider-Man, which is going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So the fact that they're going to do this movie, and as I understand, this Venom will have nothing to do with that Spider-Man, and it'll have nothing to do with any of the Spider-Mans that have shown up prior to. So it's just a little weird that they're going to have this Venom. That's going to be kind of alienated, in between, all the Spider-Man, and it's not going to have anything to do with any of them. Now, before I even get to that, my thoughts on a Venom movie is, I don't even want a Venom movie. I've never really wanted a Venom movie. I really like Venom as a character, but I think all the interesting appeal that comes from Venom, and I think all the cool dynamics come from Venom's relationship with, Spider-Man. Much like how the Joker is a fantastic villain, and the Joker could stand on his own, but he's so much more interesting when you introduce that dynamic between him and Batman. And I think Venom's very similar. Venom, he's interesting to me. Not as interesting as the Joker, in my opinion, but he's interesting to me. And he could theoretically stand on his own. I mean, he has all these spin-off comics and stuff. It's just, I think he works so much better when he has Spider-Man, and even in a lot of his spin-off comics, Spider-Man does show up. So I think just kind of a standalone Venom movie doesn't really, I don't know, it's not all that appealing to me. It's never been something I really wanted to see. I could understand if it's something you want to see. It's just something I personally don't want. I'm not against it. I don't really care one way or the other is my point. Which brings me to my next point. Again, if this is going to stand away from the MCU Spider-Man, we're probably not going to see a Spider-Man in this movie, and I think that's, again, really important. I don't think Spider-Man necessarily needs a main character role, but I think he needs to be a supporting role to some capacity. And the thing is that a lot of people want Carnage to be the villain that Venom goes up against in his movie, which I guess if you want to do Carnage in a movie, you do a rated R Venom movie, and there you can have Carnage, being Carnage, which is fine. But if you want to do Carnage justice, in my opinion, and all the previous sources that have done Carnage justice in the past, I feel like they established that concept of Spider-Man and Venom needing to form an alliance to beat him. And not only does that give more weight to Carnage as a villain, but it really adds a new dynamic between Venom and Spider-Man because, they need to kind of tie that rivalry they have in order to form an alliance to stop this greater evil type concept. And I feel, doing that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I feel like you'd have, just... First of all, you have a much bigger cast in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That could open up the possibilities for a Maximum Carnage story, which, again, I wouldn't need to see, but, it would give you the possibility. You'd be able to do, Spider-Man and Venom doing their alliance. And, again, you'd have a Venom in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which would, by extension, would probably, if they did it my way, he would show up in a Spider-Man movie first, and we'd get to know that Venom. And then he can go off and do his own thing, and if anything, really, if they really have to do a Venom movie, what I would do is I would wait a little longer. They've already shelved the movie since Spider-Man 3. Shelve it a little longer. Wait until Venom shows up proper in a Spider-Man movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Have Venom be, have Venom be this major threat against Spider-Man. But in the end, instead of, defeating Venom and sending him to prison, you can have Venom, much like an Amazing 375, have him say, okay, listen, I'm going to go off and do my own thing. The whole, you respect my space, I'll respect your space kind of concept. And I just feel like that would work out a lot better. And then, of course, you can introduce Carnage later. Maybe something does happen, and Venom does get sent to prison, and Carnage shows up. You know, there's a million different possibilities, but I just feel like having a Venom movie now, it really doesn't make sense when you're on the cusp of this brand new Spider-Man showing up in this world that's already so fleshed out. It really doesn't make sense to me. But I guess we'll see. I mean, again, I really don't care one way or the other. I just figured I'd give my 2 cents on it, because people do want to know, my thoughts on this. So, there it is. And, I know people say they want Carnage as the villain, but let's be honest. I think we know who the real villain of this movie is going to be.